Hello. So, welcome again to another model which our students have done, and like what I have explained earlier, a lot depends on product conceptualization, and rare cases where you cannot directly get it from the market or you cannot have it delivered or need a modification of an existing object, that time you probably need to print your own thing. Otherwise, that novelty wears off very quickly, very quickly that novelty wears off, that this is a rapid prototyping what you call exercise and so on. So, have a look at this. We often have this problem of working on a computer. So, it can happen at home, it can happen in what you call in workplace, it can happen in a public environment, or it can happen in let us say an airplane or anything. So, if you can just read out read along with me, have a look at it, saying imagine a situation which you are working on a computer or doing some experiment or work in a lab, and assume you have to leave the work area for some reason. Chances are high that someone else comes and uses your work setup, which may lead to the interruption of your work. In industries or offices where the resources like computers are all shared, part of it is sharing, other part of it is people are nosy. So, a student has come out with this concept, and now just allow me to go here. Houses have this, is it not? It looks vicious, it may or may not be vicious. This I am just giving you a sort of a break. Now, things like this have a story behind it. Why I have included it? This is where probably art and science and quick prototyping helps. This is a world what I call world's well known piece of art. So, maybe you should read what is written here. Can you see here? I will just change the format a little, font I will make it more visible, and oh, bad luck, maybe it makes sense here. Can you see? The watchdog was a well known, the fonts look small, permit me to make a little bigger. A person called Constantine Brancusi. He was a 1900s what I call sculptor, and he was one of the very early times. He noticed that wood, which is natural, can express things, and which is very different from casting something in metal or working in things like marble. Marble and all available in large blocks. Compared to that, wood is generally thin and long. So, he has taken something from wood logs and all that and tried to create. It was inspired by African sculpture, where you can see all the totem poles and all that, and Romanian folk carvings, and he calls it primitivizing, means making things as good as what the indigenous peoples have used. And his point was saying everything is there in the mind. Influences early in his case, technique of direct carving to emulate the raw quality of indigenous Tahitian art inspired to experiment. So, part of this experiment he ended up with this, which he calls a watchdog. Now, maybe it makes sense. This watchdog is erect and it has a what you call open jaw, and then maybe this forms the head, and it is standing erect. Probably these are the legs and so on. Now, if you see here, this is where probably rapid prototyping can make a fantastic impact to all of us. Really fantastic impact. You see here. Now, sorry for being a little what you call maybe distracting, but I still feel putting a sticker like this on your cabin will not deter people. And we have this ultimate thing which I am sure lot of us would have come into. He says, does your dog bite? And they say, no, my dog does not bite. He says, your dog never bites, but he does not, but that is not my dog. After he is being chewed out, it is there. So, the two things what you need to understand about it is saying the object which is there no can give an indication saying it is ready to behave. So, there are several variants on this original what you call print. Oh, I think I am sure. See here more and more of these things. And in fact, they have taken this joke note to a certain extent saying there is a officer and that is a police dog saying let me handle this boss and saying I know how to handle these things. So, I will just stop here and get back to the other thing. This all I have seen, I have shown you yesterday. Now, if you see back to the presentation, we come back here saying most often the one who disturb the work setup is unaware that you are using the setup. You see understand no, this is where that if you remember the watchdog analogy is a small thing, but the allegory is more important like that. The one who disturb the work does not know. Keeping a simple do not disturb on the table is the simplest solution. People notice this. Better solution can be made to solve this problem. At that time this was done, of course it says 92, information available was something which was maybe from 89 or 90 like that, it old, all of them no, all the examples I am showing are at least 10 to 15 years old. So, we did not have this ubiquitous or omniscient this mobile phone which has all the facilities, neither did laptops have a built in camera. So, the function of the product is to give a notification when someone comes near the work setup to make him aware that they are using the setup and he is not supposed to interrupt it. The application is not limited to above and can be extended to any situation where human presence, detection and alarming is required. See here, gives voice cell as visual notification when someone comes near the device. Visual notification is some blinking starts saying you see. Secondly, as soon as it comes nearby no, range and things are set here, can store 3 voice messages of which 2 are pre-installed and an option to record your own voice, each with a duration of 15 seconds. You can select any of the messages as the alarm. So, the messages could be this, I mean you can give your name, I am using this setup, I am available, or saying this simulation or this run will be over by lunchtime. So, have a nice lunch, implying that you are not being offensive. After having what you call a bon appetit or anything, come back, I will free the computer at that time or you contact me. So, which is possible. 3 duration of working, 30 minutes, 2 hours and always on, user programmable, could be powered from a 9-volt battery from using a simple USB connected to a PC. Now, coming back to it, I think it is obvious here. Again one more time permit me to just get out of the thing and then see, I have kept something else which I thought no you need to see. See here, interesting thing. Magic is, why I have included it is, I am talking from the industrial design or the generally product design center of the Indian Institute of Science here, and all our students are familiar with what is called the watchdog timer. Can you see it? Next question is saying, why did he use that word? The word watchdog timer is, people are all familiar with this, saying the magic thing is a timer detect multifunction and recovered from malfunction. It is a timer that has to be enabled by the user, it is off, timer is present in most of the microcontrollers and Arduino and all that. So, in this case now how does it work? So, you have all these things saying, even in the case of your programs, in case you get into a loop, in case you get into a freeze, it will automatically unfreeze itself or make sure that the program does not run anymore, it gives you a warning. Now, of course, with the a lot of I will say new programs and these things being run, basically it is still available unless it is operated very carefully, you will not. So, that is where read it by itself, by yourself. You have seen this, no, depending on what has failed in your thing, saying they can have multi loop in loop or things. In that case, thinking if something fails, you need to now work on the next this thing. So, he has given all this. saying how to make it. After enable the timer, it must return with seconds and so on and all that. Now, how to test and that's all. So, it execute bootloader, jump steer, sketch and so on and so on. No, it is stated in the data sheet. All this stuff no is all reading. This is the background of this being called a watchdog timer, and you could have just called it a watchdog. Now, I will just close it so that we do not need it and try to go back to the. If you see here, very critical thing is for storage or for obvious purposes or depending on how you want to keep it, this can be flat, you understand, no? And there is also a provision to hang it from what you call from your door or keep it somewhere, but in essence it is kept flat, and depending on where you accept your interruption, he has given a small tiltable device where the crux of this is this, that is the motion sensor, the so called PIR. So, loosely it is understood as a passive infrared, actually it is a pyrotechnic infrared sensor. Next time read a little about it, it is called a pyrotechnic, but we understand, we leave it as a simple infrared sensor, it is not passive. Not just passive, a lot more is there. Now, if you see all this, the way things have been made, elements of, they have made it circular, about the same size as a CD holder, because it is a very common thing people use. So, you can keep a stack of CDs on one side, and if you can remove the center stack, probably this can be kept on in that also. And if you have a stack of CDs, you just keep it on top of the CDs. So, the CDs can all be kept here and you keep it on top of it, and people know it will not look out of place. It is called blending with the environment. So, the name also is there, the blending with the environment concept also is there. And if you see the small details here, can you see something here? There is obviously an input for something, and you have various other things you see here, and there are 3 LEDs. Maybe the subsequent slides a student has explained, and everything is neatly packaged into that. Beauty of it is, this is only of course a concept like all of other things, So, see what all has been done. They have put a main body, then there are various buttons, then there is a a cap for the sensor mount. This sensor mount itself is neatly kept here. Probably the wires that they have taken here probably go through this and come out, go through this. You see here, this is where a rapid prototyping seems to make a lot of difference. Such a thing, there is no other way of fabricating it in the type of thing what we want. You can also have just a box with things which are attached to that here. But you see here, this is the actual sensor part, and either it is probably available here or they have made this because it needs all this support, and all this stuff goes inside. And you see here we have, this is the printed wiring board, and the printed wiring board goes in here. See here the amount of detail that is there inside. See, this is on the top side of the cover, and if you remove this top cover main body, on the bottom plate, you see here USB port for power, this thing, that thing goes and neatly, these are all the mounts. See here, one mount one here, and something else to close it and all that. No, all of them have been built neatly in it. And one more thing is, if you see here, this is an opening for the battery. Battery means in this case, probably you can use in this case, very clearly it is said in the beginning itself, it is a 9-volt cell. So, 9-volt battery. You have that so called high top or those things which are typically 6 1.5 volt things which are packed together, which comes as 9 volts, and they are replaceable easily. Probably they cost maybe over here now we get them for about 20 rupees, which will be equivalent to 50 cents. And in the unlikely case that you want, you can get a rechargeable version, but rechargeable version use a 6 other what do you call that 1.4 volts. So, it will come to little more than 8 volts, which is equally good. Notwithstanding that, we have a USB port here. So, that USB port neatly couples all that, and then you see amount of tremendous amount of what do you call trouble they have taken in creating a 3D model. Actual picture is a trace, and I am very proud to say our students have actually implemented here, but you should understand it is not a one man job. One person is an exclusively a solid modeling person who is a little familiar with all these things, and then he knows how to interact with others. Then there is one person who is an exclusively there is a printed wiring board layout and expert, accounts for 2. And then there is one person who is very much familiar with this optics and all, or he has gone accounts for 3, and usually you have a backup. Either the backup is a passenger or actually he does, but then it is not true. In that case he has taken the concept of integration. So, independently you will work with these people. In the beginning we started with saying we will make a circular PCB, not a practical session. Making a full circular or semicircular is not a practical thing. The easiest would have been to make a PCB with 2 cuts. Though in principle it is a hexagonal structure, you see that how neatly it sits, because the remaining space can be used for the battery, and nothing is outside. The moment you cut it, you see the smooth curves and all, everything sits neatly inside. So, and in the end you have this beautiful product which just serves this purpose. Now, when you put it down, you see here it just sits neatly here, and then you see even the detailing of the hinge and all that. The hinge does not come forward, so you can keep it wherever you want, and if you recollect the original specifications here, all this stuff they have been given. USB cable connected to a PC, we have this, and this object that has actually been made. Will you believe it? This is a functional object which was kept on the table and demonstrated. So, this is typical of small things which you can easily make, and I thought you will be able to practice these things. So, I will just add one extra slide. I have a blank here. I will see if I can write something. Oh, it does write, and I can even erase. Now, the thing is, when you want to do any of those things, I suggest you start practicing with the geometric primitives. The simplest geometric primitive what you can talk about is probably a cube. So, I was trying to discuss with my students who said, sir, what you, for a person who is already familiar with it, he knows what to do, otherwise he does not know what to do. My suggestion is go online, or some of the things we have, we have been using what you call free limited use version of the online softwares, and then just watch me show an object which I am going to draw by hand. This is very important, please look at this. So, I start with a cube. Can you see? Looks good enough. Okay. Now, similarly, I start with another cube, but which has a inclined can you see here, and in this cube I will cut off the material here. This is done by usual Boolean seen that it is a small notch, and that one is a small cube that is added to that. Now, if you see, if you have this in mind, it works without any problem, no, things work. But then if you try to start with a drawing which you need to copy or anything, no, we still end up with problems. So, I will just show you in the case of engineering, we have a little problem in this, because engineering drawing has not been very kind to what I call generally public, and especially those people who are forced to do it. If I had to take that what I call first object, which I have shown here, and make 3 views of it. This is traditionally how we start. So, I will just show you. So, if you are engineering student, you have probably seen this, it is a notched thing. Now, if I try to draw a view, looking at it like this, I have a beautiful object, this edge will be visible, and if I look at it, I get a thing like this. This is, I will call it elevation E. Then I will draw a plan view P. In the case of a plan view, I get this. You understand, both look okay with me, no? Elevation and plan view is given. Now, usually when trying to create quizzes and all that, people try to play around, and then I fully agree, our point is not to make the person who is trying to learn force that is dumb, or other way saying he is not thinking the way we want to think. But once you start making it, you will do. Why I showed you this is, now I will show you the other object which I have just tried to create at that time. I have an inclined plane, see what happens to the object. Now, if I try to make an elevation of it, the elevation drawing will look like this, because these light just are coming. Now, if I try to make a plan view, this will be the plan view. Look, they both of them look a little like each other, and the difference is very not that obvious, while this is easy. However, it is very much possible, supposing somebody a good enough I mean a person who wants you to learn, instead gives you this view, okay, saying this is the side view, gives you a side view with this dotted line. Now, it will be obvious for you. Now, you can easily relate it. Similarly, if somebody gives you a side view here, then it not further nor show anything. If it just a show here, it will be obvious for you. You understand? Why I am showing you this is, somehow are all this rapid prototyping, all this stuff, especially 3D printing and all, continue to use some models which have been created using engineering drawings. And if I give a 3D solid, it is possible to generate the views which are shown here. So, this is called a what you call elevation, this is side view, this is called a plan view, and this is either pictorial or isometric view. Same thing here, this is an isometric view. Isometric is some technicality saying all axes are of the same size and so on, like that. So, the thing is, it is necessary for you to start thinking in 3D in your mind. If your object is already there, it is very easy for you to what do you call, just work with it, no problem. You have seen it here. Now, I will see if I can now see what else I can do with it. While that was easy, now let us say you want to create objects which you want to use around the house. You want to make a clothes clip. You have seen clothes peg, clothes clip, large number of them are there, or you want to now modify it, make a clip which is a book reading thing. So, somewhere you need to learn how to draw these things. We are quite familiar with the clothes clip, is it not? Most cloth clips, the original one which we started with something like this. It was actually a peg. is a circular, and then you push it and you keep the, let us say, 2 clothes. Suppose this is the clothes line and you kept your laundry to dry out. You just had to push this clip. You need to create this object. Now you see here, I like enjoying, I like enjoying saying, what is the context of this and all that, but I would like to now make this object. So obviously here, somewhere you need to make some decision about how to create the object. One of the first thing is, obviously you have to make a drawing saying, if you are starting with a peg like this, or a piece of I do not know, wood, or a piece of I do not know whether you can call it anything, a thermocol also is okay, but it does not form well. You need to make a size of it. Typically they are all around 20 mm diameter, and the height will be typically around 80 to 100 mm. So you need these dimensions. Once you have it, you can do whatever you want with it. So if you want to make it, now if you see on the top, I would like to probably round it. So I can either add half an ellipse like this here, So again, if you see any CAD packages, you have two things, the word ellipsoid. So we have elongated or prostrate. Words are slightly different. Elongated is typically like a American football, which is instantly thrown by hand. The other prostrate ellipsoid will be like a flying saucer, but like a disc. Given this, you need to now create the necessary object. One way is to take half of it and attach it to that. Now we know how it is. Now we would like to probably have a size of a groove here, and finally a slot here. So things like the groove depth, and having come down here, what should be the slot? Is it not? Obviously it should be a V. So somewhere here, we try to stress on the the various things, saying you create this and then drill a hole and then your object is almost ready. But the critical point here is, unlike normal simple CAD exercises, in normal simple CAD exercises we have only what are called drawing units. Drawing units are fine, absolutely. So whether you take Autodesk or you take anything Dassault or you take Siemens, drawing units is universal. Now when drawing units come down and you want to take a print, issue of scale comes. Now we end up with print units, it is fine, and there is a very convenient way, depending on, let us say you want to take a printout of this itself. If you want to take a printout of itself, there is one command called fit. It magically adjusts everything, so that at least you can read the drawing, and depending on the type of annotation and depending on whether you have bidirectional accessivity and all that, the same things are shown on the print. So eventually when you try to print an object like this, okay, the package will happily, so I will remove this and start in a slightly way, in a more convenient way, so that I can easy for me, and I am sure all of you are familiar with print sizes. So for this particular thing I will try to start with a clip. This is the typical clothes clip. You will not see it like that, but Just for convenience I am drawing here. Now if you see the side view, I am sure all of you are familiar with this. See here, creating this either in 2D or 3D is a relatively simple way of creating it. You understand, no? Oh, the whole thing will vanish, but it is okay. Oh, you. I will start again. I mean as best, because I have completely lost touch. Now when you want to do in conventional printing, in conventional life is easy, all you talk about is would you want size. I am only familiar with what you call ISO or DIN or VSM standard. So, A4 is what most of your printers accommodate. So, if I use the fit command, that immediately takes all these things and gives you a paper which automatically fits this 210 by 297, and then usual options are there, and in case you want to put a title block or anything, all of those things are available. So, a title block also is printed with this, and the ISO title block is an elaborate thing. In our case most likely we do not want, we just want to say probably we include a material, and after material you include everything, and if such a drawing is given to a workshop, they are able to use it without any problem. Because as part of this you also would have indicated these dimensions, saying I want this 75 mm and I want this 25 mm, I want this 15 mm. So, from here even if something is missing, people can directly scale it, and occasionally there is a way, no, at the bottom it is written saying it is printed as 1:4. So, after it is fitted, no, if they make any this thing here, you will automatically, which is different from the fit command. So, printing on a piece of paper seems to be very easy, there is no problem at all. Now, unfortunately, when you come to most convenient what you call rapid prototyping, in rapid prototyping, the especially 3D printing, we have a serious issue saying if I now remove this, there is nothing like A4 or anything. I will remove this also. We come to, when we come to dimensions are everything, dimensions are critical. Preferably all samples we would like to have them 1:1. Now, here you need to define that the drawing units are printed model units. So, that object will come without any problem provided it is in 3D. This is a very critical thing. However, several of those things, the what I call the packages allow you to take a 2D print for this thing, and then you can also archive the original 3D object on somewhere wherever you are familiar with. Because of the what you call little bit of IP issues, generally they will not be allowed, but it will be just kept on your drive here. We have a drive, so things are stored happily in the drive. So, I hope you got what I wanted to cover was only 3 things in this. First of all, saying you must have an idea of what you want to print, without that you can't, you must have it, there is no choice. And 3D scanning also is available, saying if I have an object, say for example I have this, it is very much possible I have to put it on a scanner, things rotate, and then approximately reasonably well made object will come out of it. You got it, no? Now you see even this has a very nice interesting thing. On the side view there is a curve, then there is something, then there is something else, and while this is a passive device, there are devices which also this can be used as a dock, and this can have certain intelligence. I do not know, maybe it is because it does have some functions here, and then it operates very well. So, important thing what you need to do is you should have a concept very well developed in the mind and with a little relation to the size, a little, not too much of it, and you can always compare it with objects that are available for you outside. So, I will just see what best I can do. Yeah, I have covered this exactly. I hope you remember all this stuff. I will just stop here, I will take it separately. You see somebody wanted to make, if you can kindly have a look at it, what is otherwise a simple box, can you make it look interesting and something, and then eventually they created this by hand, all the sketches were made, this was made, this was made, and eventually I do not know if I have already shown you, this whole thing was made, which in a way I am thrilled about it saying, but you should remember dimensions for this all have come at this stage. They have said if you hold it in the hand how it feels like, and if you go inside what are all the stuff which goes inside. We have a beautiful printed circuit board, and eventually this is what I was telling, this high watt is the 9 volt packaging, and somebody has done a lot of this stuff. So, I will stop here and I will continue, and then I just wanted to point out as part of our course, every module which lasts about a week you need to do a small exercise. Right now we are still in the recording stage, probably come to the end, then I have thought up very complicated things, and then we luckily have a moderator and we have a beautiful hierarchy, means they will not tell me what to do, they will notice pointed. So, it pointed out saying it should go progressively. So, my suggestion you please go on to the net before you come to this and start practicing. Okay. So, thank you for this round, we will meet again. Thank you.